Friends, we have a full house today. It's wonderful. The theme for July is Living Everyday Wonder, relationship. The topic for today is the one and only. Now let us listen to the wisdom of Dr. Ernest Holmes in the following two inspired readings. The first one is the life and teaching of Jesus was to show the intimate, immediate personal relationship that we all have with life itself, which is within us, around us, and through us. And the next one, every person's mind is an inlet to the divine. There is tolerance in this concept and inclusion. The infinite is all-inclusive, all-embracing, all-comprehending. Please join me and let's affirm together. My relationships with everything demonstrate my relationship with God. And at this time, I would love to introduce Reverend Kathleen.
I'd like to start with a teaching story from the Hindu faith. It goes like this. There was a time when all human beings were gods, and they abused that privilege. And so the chief god, Brahma, decided that it was time to take away that divinity and to hide it somewhere. So he called together a council of all of the gods, and they all sat down and together brainstormed ways in which to hide this divinity from humankind. So the first idea came, how about if we bury it in the earth, really deep into the earth? And Brahma thought about it, and he said, I don't know, I think humans will just keep digging until they find it. And so another idea came up. Well, how about if we sink it down to the very depths of the deepest part of the ocean? Brahma thought about it again, and he said, I think they'll find a way to dive down and find it. And so then another idea came. Well, how about if we take it up to the very highest peak on the planet and hide it up there? To which Brahma replied, you know what? They'll just keep climbing all the mountains until they finally find it. So exasperated, Brahma decided to go into a deep state of contemplation and really think about this. So he thought about it for a very long time. And finally, he realized the perfect place to hide that divinity. I know many of you have heard this story before, but it's such a great teaching story. He decided, he asked all of them, what do you think about this one? How about if we hide the divinity deep within each human? They'll never find it there. They're so used to seeking outside themselves, for the divine. They'll be climbing and digging and diving and exploring and trying to find God out there somewhere. And so they all agreed, and the deed was done. And to this day, the divinity is right within every one of us. So I love these teaching stories because even though the Hindu faith believes, as we do, that God is all in all, it's a great way to really look at, those parables, whether they're parables from the Bible or from these teaching stories from different religions. They help us to really look at how we're showing up in life. Are we showing up as if our good is out there Are we striving, thinking if I get that next thing or if I accomplish this next thing, then I will have that fulfillment, when all the while the fulfillment that we're seeking is within us? Let's breathe that in. Let's take it in. Take a moment and reflect. What am I still thinking? If I just have that one more thing, then I will feel fulfilled. Because if you do, you are fooling yourself. And it's time to really realize this is where you find it, within your very own being. The Hindu philosophy is a one of unity, just as ours is. And it's rooted in the sacred texts that are called the Vedas. And Vedas, by the way, the meaning of it is knowledge. And here's the thing. They were an oral tradition for many, many, many years, but finally written down anywhere from 3,500 to 3,000 years ago. This wisdom was already available to humanity because it is ultimate wisdom. The Upanishads, which means secret teachings revealing underlying truth, are considered the end of the Vedas. And they contain the essential teachings, and teachings such as all is God or Brahman. Therefore, the one being is present in all of us as our own deeper and immortal self, the Atman. It offers the principles of creation that we speak about in our own Science of Mind teachings. In fact, the thing that I find very fascinating is Ernest Holmes is said to have had Sri Aurobindo's book beside his bed, and he would read it every night before he went to bed to deepen himself into this wisdom of wholeness and oneness. So now that we've tied that all together, and I was just thinking how beautiful that is that Ami and her family are here today, because it's understanding our oneness and our interconnection with all life that is really going to take us as humanity to the next level of realizing that we're all in this together, that we all truly must work together in order to truly transform what's going on the planet. It all begins within. Swami Vivekananda spoke to this concept of one and only presence, the one and only, which is our life. He's known for the very unifying talk at the very first Parliament of World Religions in 1893. And his talk was one that really brought Hinduism to America in a way that was very unifying, uplifting, and gave all of those present a vision for how it is that we move forward as one. One of the ideas that he offered was the idea that there are many paths but one God. And I'd like to offer this beautiful excerpt from one of his books that speaks to this idea of oneness in a very radical way. So listen to this. He said, "You are the God of the universe. You are the help of the universe. Help never came from anywhere but yourself. In your ignorance, every prayer that was answered, you thought was answered by some being out there. But you answered the prayer yourself unknowingly." And we talk about this by our use of universal law. He said, "The help came from yourself," with a capital S, the divine presence within. "There is no help for you outside of yourself. You are the creator of the universe. Like the silkworm, you have built a cocoon around yourself. Who will save you? Burst your own cocoon," he says, "and come out as a beautiful butterfly, a free soul." He said, "Then alone you will see the truth." Total 100% responsibility for our own evolutionary process is what he's calling for. And doesn't that sound familiar to all of those who have been studying this New Thought, Ancient Wisdom, Science of Mind teachings? 100% responsibility. And as I was reading this passage, I was out on my porch, screened-in porch. As I was reading this passage, a swallowtail, a yellow swallowtail, landed on the screen right next to me. I mean, I was here and it was literally right there. And I looked up and it just, do you see it? It just stayed there. It did not move. It just stayed there as if to offer me a message, I'm sure. And I take those things very, very, what am I going to say? As very important. As very important, something for me to pay attention to. And I knew that a butterfly stood for transformation, but I thought, I wonder if a yellow swallowtail, if I look that up, if that symbol up, if maybe that has a specific idea about transformation. So I looked it up, and what showed up was optimism. Optimism as the path to transformation. And I love that. You know how much I love Optimist Daily. I read it essentially every day. I know and I understand optimism as an important part of in fact, very essential to transformation, because if we're pessimistic, then we've given up. If we're optimistic, we're still full of faith and trust and a deep understanding that there is a divine order and that we are able to participate in that divine order by aligning with it in consciousness. So, thank you, Butterfly, for your beautiful message. Another message that reminds us of the sweet relationship we have with all life, all forms of life being an expression of God, a way in which God is showing up and connecting with us and communicating with us. And all of it, therefore, is God having a relationship with itself, spirit having a relationship with spirit. All of it. Everyone here in this room having a relationship with each other in this very moment, having decided to show up at this particular time for this particular message, whatever it is that's important for you to hear. So the spiritual practice for this month on relationship is called engaged relationship. Conscious choice in the way we show up in relationship with a clear awareness that it is a divine relationship, that we are truly, it is a holy encounter. I love that. I got that from A Course in Miracles. Every relationship is a holy encounter. My relationship with that butterfly was a holy encounter, and I paid attention. So today, we seize the opportunities that we have of relationship all around us. I'm inviting you to do this with me consciously as we look at some of the things that may come up that we consider to be unholy. I'm going to use that term, unholy. Actually everything is holy. But there are things going on. We hear about them in the news. There may be things going on in our relationships that feel unholy. And so how do we deal with that? How do we deal with that? So I want to start with a reading by Ernest Holmes. It's in his book called It's Up to You. And it's about the meaning of spirituality and the practice of being holy. He said, by spirituality, we mean a constructive atmosphere of goodness, truth, beauty, harmony, and reality. Such an atmosphere comes as you believe, understand, and make use of the invisible intelligence of spirit or God within. It's that awareness that all is God. He said to be spiritually minded is to be whole-minded, holy, whole-minded, holy, to realize the complete unity of God and creation. So if we see something as unholy, and we can tell by the way we're reacting, right? If we're angry, if we're afraid, whatever it is, there's this sense in us that there's something unholy or not right about the situation or the person. Then that is a signal to us that love is being called for. Love is being called for. And it's also a signal that we are seeing the absence, we are thinking that we're seeing the absence of God. I want to put it that way because we know God is present everywhere, omnipresent. But there is a part of our mind that is seeing God absent in that situation. So what do? We have this beautiful this form of prayer called spiritual mind treatment, an affirmative prayer that lines us back up with the omnipresence, the omnipotence, the omniscience of God. That lines us up with that truth. So it's a treatment. We're treating the mind with this truth. And so it begins with what we've been saying over and over again today, and we say every Sunday. God is all there is. All there is God. And that life is the life of love. It's the infinite good itself. And so there is no spot where God is missing or absent. It's only our mind that has played the trick and thinks that it's absent. And so what we do by returning to the truth, speaking the truth, knowing the truth, remember, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, like the butterfly. Know the truth. So we know the truth. We remind ourselves of the truth. All there is God. And so some of you may be thinking, yeah, but this thing is going on, whether it's the war in Ukraine or the pandemic or whatever it is. There's this thing going on. Let's get real here. and that's the whole thing. Is we have an opportunity as individualizations of God to bring forth, to reveal the truth behind all of that. And by transforming our own consciousness with spiritual mind treatment, our form of prayer, knowing the truth, I am of God, I am one with God, I am God individualized, then what I know to be true is that peace, let's say we're speaking, you're thinking about the war, the condition is the war, that peace is the ultimate reality, and I claim peace for myself. I'm cultivating consciously inner peace, and I'm knowing peace is bursting forth in the hearts and minds of people all over the planet. Whatever it is that that you are your particular way of saying that. And so as we envision that, we're planting seeds in consciousness that if we continue to attend them and water them with our attention, will give birth to peace. And I'll tell you something, the other alternative, which is just to complain about it, is actually using, you hear about pray without ceasing. Those are the words that we many of us have heard before. We are continuously, with the direction of our thought throughout the day, either planting seeds that support the revelation of peace or that support ongoing war and conflict. So we have that much power, creative power available to us. Every one of you who is sitting here has that within them because we are individualizations of Spirit, of God, of the Most High. And just recently I wrote about we are adults of God. It's time to put down the idea that we're children of God. Let's put on our adult hats. We are adults of God. We are here to usher in the new universal human, that new version of the universal human, That's why we're here, isn't it? You may not know that's why you're here. But that's why we're here. We all have this deep longing within us to experience and express heaven on earth, a world that works for all. That is so, I know that's important to every one of you who is here. That's why you're here. That's what called you here. And whether you're part of the Awakened Heart community, I know that's what you're working. In my heart of hearts, I know that's what you're working in the direction of. That's what your intention is. And how beautiful that we got to come together and own this common intention. So I would like to illustrate something that is going on right now in the Temenos CSL that is in Ukraine. I don't know how many of you know that we have a Centers for Spiritual Living in Ukraine, but we do. And Reverend Barbara Ledger is the minister. And she came back way before the war started. She came back to this country to deal with a health issue, which she's now recovered from. But she's continuing to lead her congregation, and they have practitioners. I mean, they have a full congregation that's in Ukraine to continue to lead them through these very challenging times. And if you can imagine for them how incredibly challenging it is to maintain a consciousness of oneness and wholeness and peace in the midst of all-out war. And I was looking at her recent newsletter, and she asked us all, including her congregation, to ponder, how do soldiers defend their country, or civilians in fear of their lives plant seeds of peace? She wanted them to contemplate that. How do they continue to plant seeds of peace? So the interesting thing is that, when Reverend Barbara moved back, she left behind a property, her property that has a home and a couple of outbuildings on it. And so her congregation is getting together to turn her property into a place of respite, a place where people can come, families, and they have like a time period, like a 6-month period or whatever, that they can come, live on the property, learn the science of mind principles, practice them, and cultivate inner peace so that they can be the peace that is being called for in the midst of what's going on. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? That really touched me. And they're calling it a home for the internally displaced. A home for the internally displaced. Bursting out of our cocoons of fear and giving birth to the butterfly of peace. I mean, I know that's the work of all of us here on the planet. And it means to choose consciously the optimistic, affirmative side of life. How beautiful, Michelle, you have the complaint-free world opportunity there so we can truly shed all of that, all of those habits that get in the way of being the peace that is being called for. Fred Rogers says this about relationship. He said, "If you could only sense how important you are to the lives of those you meet, there is something of yourself that you leave at every meeting with another person." How important it is that we show up as the peace, the love, the joy, the kindness of God with every person and everything we meet. So what do you leave at each encounter? What would happen if you asked yourself that? What is it that I'm leaving with this particular encounter with someone? And so what does it mean that we have, that if how we relate to anyone or anything or anyone is how we relate to everyone, because it is a reflection of what we believe about our relationship with God. I've been really looking at this one for myself personally. What is it that I truly want to show up as in each and every moment? I know it's love, but it's like, can I show up as love even when I'm reacting? and that's when I find myself reacting, those like instantaneous moments when boom, the emotion comes up, and then breathe, relax, and show up as love. So Rumi, I love this quote by Rumi. He said, "Your task is not to seek for love, but to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." Yes. Your task is not to seek for love. So again, it's not looking for love outside yourself. Your task is to find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it, against love. So, as we dismantle each barrier, we strengthen our relationship with the divine. I'd like everybody to yawn and stretch. We're doing a little neuro yawn, stretch, and then I'd like you to turn to someone next to you and share with them what 3 things that you have that's on your mind right now, 3 barriers to love that you are committing to releasing right here and right now. So my invitation to you is that you continue to find the barriers that stand between you and the full expression of the love that you are, the butterfly self. And that means transcending, the work of transcending, transforming, and listen to this word, I love this new word, transmogrifying. Like that one? Transmogrifying. Transmogrifying. It means to transform in a surprising and magical manner. I like that. Yeah, really. And so be sure to reach out. These transformations happen more easily with support. Reach out to your prayer partners, a practitioner, a friend, a therapist, because this work that we're doing, this deep inner work, is what truly is going to change things on the planet. So my friends, I just honor you. I'm so grateful for you. And I would like to end by just saying namaste. The God and the divine in me honors the God and the divine in you. That's adorable. Namaste. Dan is full of surprises. There are often things going on behind me I have no idea until I look. Right, okay. So let's just give ourselves a lot of love in this moment by turning within and just giving thanks for this opportunity to deepen our connection and our awareness of the divine within each other, divine within all life, realizing that truly we are making a difference simply by saying yes. Yes to this inner work. Yes to making a commitment. Yes to showing up more fully as the amazing, unique, individualized presence that we are in truth. And so we breathe, we give thanks, and we release this word as beautiful seeds of truth into the universal law of mind. And then let's proclaim, let's stand up, let's use our energy and proclaim that we are accepting this good with a powerful yes! And so it is! Woohoo! Yes!